Pick me, please!
I knew two things about this game going into this review. One, it came from the same developer that did Storm, which is this beautifully simple puzzle game based on nature and its processes. Two, I knew the name, FIREBURST. Putting the two together, my guess was that this must be a game about fire, right? Something really elegant, like Little Inferno, maybe applying the physics of fire to a more traditional genre. After all, this is from the same team that did Storm. Turns out this is the exact opposite of Storm. FIREBURST is neither simple nor beautiful, nor elegant, nor is it about nature. On the contrary, it's about machines, it's about explosions, and more specifically, it's about combustion. This is a racing game you could call high octane, but in a more literal sense, which is to say every fucking thing seems to be doused in it. The NBA Jam announcer would have a freaking aneurysm here. So I know this is probably a reference that like 5 people will get, but this game's actually very similar to a Wii game called Donkey Kong Barrel Blast. So you would build up a speed boost, right? But you could only extend it if you slammed into barrels while boosting. So if you didn't string together those barrels, you lost the boost. This is the same idea, only it replaced barrels with water. And bananas with bananas that are on fire. Everything's on fire! The whole point of FIREBURST is that your car can catch fire. Sounds bad, right? But it's a good thing because it boosts your speed and can blow up your opponents. Of course, it's also a bad thing. Your car has this vitally important heat gauge, and if you let your heat get too hot, well, forget speed boosts. Hope you got insurance! I actually love the gimmick. It adds a real sense of danger to the races. See, you want to just boost like crazy, but you really have to be careful. Once you get better at the game, you end up pushing that gauge to its limits. You're like Aerosmith, circa 1993. You're living on the edge. I really like the settings for the courses too. Salt Lake in particular is an awesome concept. Blasting through these dried up salt beds. The game looks good too, but the thing is, it reminds me of Barrel Blast both because it has a similar gimmick and similar issues. See, in Barrel Blast, the barrel combo gimmick kind of felt underutilized, as the levels didn't hold up their end of the bargain in terms of barrel placement. And oddly enough, I felt exactly the same way about FIREBURST. That you can cool down your gauge by driving through water, or hitting water barrels, which theoretically allows you to extend those speed boosts, which theoretically should be where the skill lies. But the water is kind of sparsely placed, which leaves the game's great gimmick on the sidelines for most of the race. That means its core racing has to shine. And sadly, that's when the game's not as exciting. There's not much content here either. I mean, you have individual races and some challenges which unlock new content, but there's no main mode to use that content, which makes unlocking it feel kind of pointless. Fortunately, there's multiplayer, both online and local, and like any crazy racing game, playing with friends is great. FIREBURST is kind of a mixed bag of combustible items. On the one hand, the whole bursting gimmick is fantastic. On the other, it feels like it could have been integrated a bit more deeply into the track design. It's a pretty game, but it's buggy, and the physics are bad. It is worth playing, but it's hardly at the front of the pack. And the whole catching fire thing, actually kind of fitting.